Well, good day, everyone. Today I'm looking forward to interviewing a friend of mine, Jeremy Howard. Jeremy, it's been quite a long time since we saw each other. I think it was in Cancun in 2019.
I believe that's right.
just before, just before COVID, stopped all the travel and that. But as you know, we've got this interview series with WSI Consultants, and I'm so pleased that you've offered today to talk to us. So hopefully, listeners and viewers will be able to learn quite a bit about your journey. So I'll jump straight into it, Jeremy. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're located, and we take it from there.
Yeah, sure. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. So I actually landed in San Antonio with the U.S. Air Force. So I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, was stationed here at Randolph Air Force Base. And it was here in San Antonio where I met and married a local Texan, my wife, Leslie, and had an IT career that lasted about 23 and a half years.
Wow.
So we have 3 adult children.
Yeah.
We actually have one that's a senior right now, so we'll be empty nesters in about 8-9 months, something like that. So looking forward to that. And we have 2 little grandbaby boys. My wife and I were best friends and very active in our local church. We volunteer to help other couples improve their marriages.
Yeah, excellent. It sounds a little bit about, well, I've got also 5 grandbabies now.
Oh, wow, nice.
They're really starting from 16.
Oh, they're the best. They're the best.
No, it's amazing. But also, I had a long career in IT, also about 24, 25 years. So
nice.
It does help you with your background, coming into, into this industry. But so many people think you're an IT guy when you're actually a marketing guy.
Right. Agreed. But you can help provide, I guess, even other value adds by providing them advice and on the IT side of things too.
Absolutely. So, being in the Air Force, and then what made you get out of planes and wanting to come and work as an internet consultant?
Oh, so actually, in the Air Force, I was actually a programmer.
Okay.
So I took the advice of my folks actually, and when I was going through the testing and even basic training, I went through the testing even for the Air Force Special Forces, but then I was like, well, what am I going to do with that when I get out? So my folks really pushed me to go into programming because back then, this was early 90s, I guess, or so. And, IT was huge. And so programming opportunities were enormous on the outside of the Air Force. So went that route and don't regret it. It's been great. So started out as a programmer and then just worked my way through leadership. Building up. And so you probably remember if you were in IT. So I started out programming in COBOL.
Oh,
so
if 2 people can say they remember COBOL, then you know how old we are.
Exactly.
And my wife, Mariana, she was an assembler programmer.
I did a little bit of assembly, not much, but wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, she used to work for airlines, and they used to write an assembler in those days. Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
So, being with WSI, what value do you see that you get out of, joining, sort of a franchise, I guess, instead of just your own operation?
Yeah. So really, I wanted out of corporate America. I had led different departments in corporate America, and after looking at different businesses for about 2 years, and I've talked to so many business owners, different types of businesses, and my wife and I would talk about them, pray about them, and when we ran upon WSI, we just agreed it was the biggest opportunity or the best opportunity with the less amount of risk, right? And I went through this a little bit different because I bought an existing agency and grew it from there. But we felt like WSI just provided good support, and with the vast network of agency owners that just help each other. It's like a little family, right? And we help each other. There was just less risk involved than starting on my own. And I do believe that network of agency owners and consultants, that's provided really the best or most value to us. Not that corporate doesn't do a great job in education, and helping too. But I can pick up a phone and call Francois or Ryan Kelly or Neil or Chuck or
right.
or whomever else, Eric, and just ask them for a little bit of help or assistance or their advice. And everybody's quick and eager to assist, and sometimes even partner on clients together to make it work.
Yeah, it's just incredible how it works within the network. Everyone I talk to, it's the same thing, and it's just amazing how it turned out that way.
Yes.
You'd think we were competing with each other in a space.
Well, I think it says something about the character of the WSI agency owners, right? And that's one of the things when we get to my motto, just about helping and serving others, right, and doing for others. And I think, like those names I mentioned, we all we're willing to, drop what we're doing and get on a phone call and help each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, moving into your own business after working in corporate for a long time, I felt, I was always looking at other businesses, but it was always like a restaurant, and because I like cooking, and
I did that too. I looked at some of those,
and I'm so glad I didn't go that route, because it's not the one that would have worked for me. I'd rather stay home cooking than doing it as a job.
Right.
And then in corporate, I ended up getting retrenched after 30 years of working, and I was in a sales role, and the company was struggling at that time. And, you end up being disillusioned. And then I thought, well, I'm done with corporate. Let me go do my own thing. But I doubt whether I had the courage, to jump off on my own, But when I see people, I talk to people like you and others that made a conscious decision to do that. And so doing that, how did you, what influenced you, to take that leap?
Probably one of my biggest influences is actually my wife. And that's because she's owned her own business since I've known her.
Okay.
And her whole family were entrepreneurs. Her family, when she was growing up, owned restaurants, car lots, bars, restaurants. I said restaurants, but they owned different businesses when she was growing up. So, and she's my biggest cheerleader. Right. And so although she was had some reservations, she was really just cheering me on and helping me through the process of selecting the right business opportunity. And so and we did a lot of planning ahead of time together to ensure that we were prepared and ready for that jump in regards to, we did pay off a lot of bills, reduce our spending to where so that if there was any risk or any decline in salary, we were ready for that. Luckily, we didn't have that, so that was great.
That's great.
But we were prepared for it. So I would really say my wife, she's my biggest cheerleader. She's very supportive. And she had already been successful as a business owner, and same with her family members.
Oh, that makes a big difference. That's definitely, if you've got someone who's already done it, they realize the challenges and everything that you're going to face, and you can pull through it. And I think also it's quite interesting that you bought into a franchise. So you didn't have to start at the beginning, where some of those, that's a challenge. We have no clients, to get going.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and could I have done that? Maybe, but I was at a certain level in my company, of course, and used to a certain income. And so what I was really looking at is the risk involved there and starting from scratch versus starting with at least some clientele. And you know this, we've had this conversation, but the prior owner, and contractually, we kept him on for 3 to 6 months, where he trained me, introduced me to everyone, and so it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I merged with a franchise, many years back, and it was interesting, getting together and picking up more clients and going, because people do change and move on. So how long you've been with WSI for now?
5 years.
5 years.
So
okay.
A little over 5 years. So it was September of 2017 that I left corporate America, and October of 2017 is officially when I became part of the WSI family.
And I
So
mean,
5 years now, it's been a good 5 years.
yeah, it's been good. I mean, you're on the top 25 earners list, Top Gun, all of that in such a short space. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
incredible. I mean, it's
It's
really
been
good.
great. We've had a lot of good growth
Yeah,
through organic growth as well as acquisition.
yeah,
So we did both along the
mm,
way. Got a great team. Yeah, it's been a great 5 years. Honestly, I
yeah,
wouldn't change it for anything.
yeah.
It's been
Excellent,
tremendous. Yeah.
excellent. So, in a sort of an established business, what's your typical week look like? So if someone looks in from the
Yeah.
outside.
So I'll be honest, I've been blessed with making mostly, good hires. We've had a
Okay.
few hiccups, but
Mm,
I would say everyone that we have now are A, B players, right?
wow.
And that makes a huge difference. And so I'm able to really allow them to run free and run their own mini business based on what their role is, and that's been tremendous, and I give them that opportunity. We have a very, very flexible work environment where they're able to basically work their own hours as long as they get their work done. I don't really count PTO or anything like that. If they need time off, just make sure you get your work done before and after.
Mm,
So that helps me not to work so much on micromanaging employees.
right.
Instead, I can stay at a higher level and handle things. So I'll just go through a typical, day as an example, or week. Depending on the day, we either start the day with a team huddle. So we do that 3 days a week. And during that team huddle, it's just, what have you accomplished? What are you working on? What are your obstacles? Those types of conversations. Or we have internal client management meetings on the alternate days. And those meetings, we're discussing potential concerns with current client base, wins, as well as prospects.
Right.
The rest of the day is typically dealing with any just escalations or working on proposals or approving proposals, because now all of my employees are basically salespeople at this point, and they've been closing deals too, especially on their own. All I do is review a proposal and give them a thumbs up, or ask them to edit a few things, and then they press forward, and they're doing a great job. And then working with my leaders on strategy, and then or in meetings with prospects. That's pretty much a typical week.
I think it's quite interesting that you're not doing the sales right now, because
Yeah.
most of us, that's what we're involved with. And every time
Yeah.
we make a sales hire, it's difficult. It doesn't always, people aren't always as into it as you are, so it looks like
Well,
you've
and I
done
think
well.
what's different in my case is I didn't hire these people for sales
Yeah,
at all. And these two employees of mine, they team up very well because one of them has a ton of contacts, and business owners and execs in different companies. And she's very, very personable, but not a salesperson really. And the other person is just very strategic and great at putting together the appropriate proposal to fulfill that client's needs. And between the two of them, they do a good job in the meeting. I used to be on the meetings with them and close the deal, but now I let them do a couple on their own, and they've done a great job. I still do proposals, but I usually do, so I let them do all of the ones that they bring in, and then any that I bring in, I'll typically handle.
right.
Or somebody that refers someone to me directly versus refer them to them. So and we have a good commission structure, and it's based on whether you brought the client or the prospect in, and whether you finished the deal on your own. So obviously you get more if you've done both of those things.
That's a good space to be in, that you've got that working for you, because it gives you a lot of other opportunities as well. Well done, well done. We've struggled. I used to sit with Neil and say to him, Neil, okay, what do I do now? Hiring sales guys and commissions.
And I was there. I've had several salespeople that came and went as a result of the same things you're talking about.
And that's normally one of the challenges that some consultants in the network face, because they come from a background, maybe sometimes a technical background, consulting, but they haven't got into the sales role, and they find that quite awkward because you want to know what you're selling, and this digital marketing thing is so big, to understand it.
Right.
All. Yeah.
Right. That's very true.
So, so in the time that you've been there, like, have you had any highlights? Because there's normally a lot of highlights coming out of WSI, people winning awards
Yeah.
and things like that. What comes to
Well,
mind for you?
and I'll tell you, with my team, the winning awards is great, and I give them the kudos for that.
Yeah.
But when we see our clients being successful, that really just enlivens and energizes my team and me.
Yeah.
So I honestly think every time we see a client succeed, we just get really happy about that and ecstatic and excited about that. And so I think even though awards are great, I think helping people help people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for us has been really one of the best things that we could do. And one example is there was a new franchise spa, high-end day spa that we partnered with. They'd only been in business a couple of months. And this was during COVID too.
Right.
And yeah, beginning of COVID is when right before COVID, we started partnering with them. And we took them from being we together partnering with them. We drove them into the top 10 across the country out of all the franchises. So that was a great just win and feeling and for the whole team.
Absolutely.
My team, their team, and they considered us part of their team.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another thing that's a highlight when our our clients really think of us as part of their team.
Yeah.
They celebrate with us, they share with us, things about their personal lives, and so we've gotten to a point where we become friends with some of our clients, and in some cases it feels like a family. I mean, we've got a client in California that has a big therapy clinic, has a couple of them actually, and she's said a prayer for one of my account managers and strategists, for her family on the line, So when you become close like that with each other, their wins are your wins.
Absolutely.
And so it's a really cool feeling when you get that close with your clients and you're able to celebrate their wins with them like that. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. As you're saying it, I'm just recalling one of my clients. He's a Serbian guy, very surly guy, and he's been around for a long time. And he does outsourcing of database management, and we probably get him 5 deals a year. That's
nice.
He's always there on Google, but every time he gets a deal, he picks up the phone immediately and he says to me, thanks to you, this deal is worth in our currency X amount of money, and if it wasn't for you, we would be struggling with this. And then the next minute he would just call all his friends and he would say, you need to work with this guy. He's the best. You want to speak, just talk to him. And
that's great.
And it really is great. When they acknowledge it and they let you know, because some of your clients don't always tell you.
They don't. Yeah.
And that feeling you get, like you've made a difference to their business, and they appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we've started some businesses from scratch, and they ended up being, they sell their, like this one client now, I'm actually going to lose them, unfortunately. They sell used cars to people who are blacklisted, who cannot get a loan, right? So it's quite a tricky thing, and we've been doing it for, I think, 11 years. And then everybody copied that. No, they've just sold their business.
Their model,
they've sold it out to a big company, I think about 2 weeks ago. And I can see they're asking us for access to the analytics and everything else, because it's probably going to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how it goes.
That's unfortunate. But that's good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very cool.